bootcamp is going to be a great, experience for you. And as long as you put your mind and your time to it, dedicate time to it, and you have, you know, good commitment to this boot camp, you're going to come out well and you're going to get a good result. You get, so everything is well structured, and from day one till day 12, it's going to you're going to achieve everything if you dedicate your time to this boot camp. Thank you all for joining in. All right, then we have Leia here. He's going to start the boot camp. So each facilitator has 3 days with us. You get, so I want you to make sure you grab everything, like make sure you take everything from all the facilitators, as in every time they are going to be coming to join and teach us or instruct us. You get, make sure you ask questions, you get, and sap them off. Make sure there's nothing left inside of them. You get, welcome everyone. So over to you, Leye, creative product designer. Yeah, you can go ahead.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm pretty sure everyone can hear me audibly, and I'm sure everyone has had a great day already. Likewise, I already did too. I'll be starting off the boot camp with us with an introduction to UI UX fundamentals and case studies. And for the purpose of the 3 days, for the first day, I'll be taking you introduction to UI UX and case study. Day 2, I'll be taking you problem definitions and research planning. Day 3, we'll be conducting user research to get together. And trust me, these days are going to be something that will be working hands on deck collaboratively. And as we all have been accepted to the Figma file, that is where we'll be documenting our process to ensure that everybody is intact and nobody is lagging behind. And we have our 3 other facilitators on board to put everyone through the process and make sure that everyone has something solid at the end of the boot camp. So I will start up by giving us an overview of what UI UX fundamentals is. And I'm pretty sure in the last boot camp, which was the UI boot camp, I'm pretty sure my boss Olawale and other facilitators has really dealt with what UI really means and what it entails. And moving on, I would just like to just give a brief overview of what it is again for the purpose of first timers here and probably those who are not in the last boot camp. So you can go on with me. We'll be starting off with what is UI and what is UX itself. UI is the visual and interactive element on any product that we are using, such as our typographies, our buttons, our colors, and those things are the things that ensures that the user interface is aesthetically pleasing and also functional as well. For example, we all are so used to a fintech product or the other, either a bank app, you are used to it, and everyone is probably making transaction on their mobile phone. We both have OPay, at least everyone has OPay. So the icons on OPay, the way the text is laid out, the way we have each sections at our well grouped, the color selection, the way those things are appealing to us, and the way we enjoy it and we see things easily, whereby you can easily see your account balance easily without having to stress yourself. Those things are what entails the UI, which contains the buttons, the colors, the typographies, and layout. And a short overview of UX, or what UX simply means, which is user experience, is how you feel after using a particular product. So the reaction you get after using a particular product is simply what UI UX means. It doesn't really mean anything. After using particular products, if you can tell that this product was very easy to use, I was not even stressing myself at all. That is a simple definition of what user experience means. It is the feeling you get after using a particular product. and the satisfaction you have after using the particular product. I'm pretty sure that most of us, after making call on WhatsApp, for example, because everyone uses WhatsApp, after making call on WhatsApp, you're going to see a simple survey that will bring to you that you rate this call. That is them trying to know what your experience was using their products and making call on their products. Hope everyone is following and understanding. If you're following and understanding, please you can just drop probably an emoji and let me be sure everyone is moving alongside with me if we are moving. Thank you so much for that. So move on to the key principle of what UI UX design entail. The first one is user-centric design, and one point there that I would love to talk about is prioritizing the needs, preference, and behavior of users throughout the process. There's something called user journey in user experience, which is how a user uses a product from the onboard product to the ending of the product. You have a question? I'll be taking question once I'm done with view of the the UI UX fundamentals before we move on to the other section. So you can please keep your questions on to the end of this first part of the class before we move on to the next section. You'll be able to ask your question and everything will be well answered. So the next thing I'll be talking about is consistency, which is another key principle in UI UX design. So in the last bootcamp, I'm pretty sure have been talked about, or this must have been dealt with in some kind of way, whereby when you are designing, consistency is using either same size of font in some places. So like if you are designing, that is why you are always recommended to have a style guide whereby you create your typography and you create your color palettes. That is just a simple way to ensure consistency. And in the last boot camp where I checked, I saw that everyone did amazing, whereby I saw that everyone was able to create their style guides, create their typography style guide and their color palette, and that was very fantastic. Kudos to everyone that was present in the last boot camp. So for those who were not present, consistency is just more of you maintaining uniform design pattern. For example, maintaining uniform font, colors, navigation. So if you have used an icon with feel in a particular page of a design and you're moving on to the next page of a design and you're using an icon with just outline, and the next page you're using an icon with just broken type of font or type of icon, that is showing a bad practice of consistency. So whenever you are designing, always ensure that you are consistent with whatever you are doing. If in the body text of a page you've used 16, ensure you use that 16 all through the pages to ensure consistency. Consistency does not only deal with typography, it's also deal with the fonts, the colors, and the navigation to make sure that the users are more familiar, and it helps the user reduce cognitive load when they are navigating through any products that you've designed as a designer or any products that you've worked on as a user experience. And another thing that is a key principle in UI UX fundamental is hierarchy and clarity. So hierarchy deals with size of the text you are using, the color, the contrast. Contrast is like one thing that really works with hierarchy. For example, if you are designing a landing page, or whenever you visit any landing page of your choice, you will notice that the size of text they are using in the hero section. The hero section is the first section you see whenever you go to a landing page, and on that hero section, please can you mute my screen? Yeah, so whenever you go to any landing page of your choice or any website of your choice, you always see that there are variations of fonts or sizes of font on the arrow section, which is the first page, the first section you come across whenever you are landing on any website. So you tend to see a very big text capturing your eyes immediately you come. It might be um enjoy free delivery services. Then you see a small text. That small text, you'll be very curious to read it because it is calling you, like you want to know what next. So the front text is like the next text after that is like a body text, which you would be very, very curious to know what it entails. I will show you a very simple example of what that is very shortly, and you can have an idea of what I'm talking about straight up. Okay, hold on, please. Okay, I'll be sharing my screen now just to show to you what an arrow text might look like whenever you enter a website, which simply talks about or deal with what the hierarchy might look like. Yeah, so yeah, so I'm sharing my screen now. So if you come to a website, for example, you can easily spot the difference between this text, this double your leads and land high paying clients with custom design. And you can easily spot the difference between this as well. So imagine that all the text here is of same size. It will be lagging what we call hierarchy. Because hierarchy in design is what tells us what the user should focus their attention on and what action they should perform when they come to a website. So and this is where contrast comes to place as well. If you look at the double your lead and land high paying clients with custom design text, and the following text, which is our tailored websites convert visitors to this. You can see the contrast between them. Contrast is the simple difference between two things. If you put two bottles together and one of the bottle is black and one of the bottle is white, the simple contrast between them is being able to spot the difference immediately you are looking at the two bottles. If the two bottles are white and they give you two white bottles and they tell you to find the difference in between the two bottles, you find it's very, very hard to find difference between the two bottles. And if one is white and if one is black, you find it's very easy. You'll be able to say this is a white bottle and this is a black bottle. That is a very simple example of what contrasts might look in either design or our everyday life. And one thing about design again is keeping the design clean and unclustered for better understanding. Most times people often cluster their design together, and people are always scared of using white spaces. So whenever you are designing or coming up with your UI, be very confident of using your white spaces. It gives the user more clarity and it makes them understand what is going on in every section of your design, which gives them a very great user experience at the end of the day. I'll be moving on to the next theme on my UI UX fundamental principles of design, which is feedback and responsiveness. So feedback on your design or your website are the interactions or notifications that user get whenever they are using a particular product. So for example, let's say you're using a website and you hover on a button, you have to be getting a particular feedback to be very sure that I'm hovering on this button. I don't know if you get me. I will cite an example for us to be able to understand what I'm talking about in terms of interaction and responsiveness and feedback. I'll be sharing my screen again to show a very simple example of what that entails. So when you come to these websites, for example, If my mouse over on this, you can easily see that there is an interaction, or there is a feedback I'm getting on this particular website, whereby I can easily tell that my mouse is on this. This is simply what we call feedback on websites. And whenever my mouse over on this as well, you can easily tell that my mouse is on this. Let's take an example of what feedback might look like on buttons. So whenever I click on this input field, you can see that there is a simple um border that is showing a orange shadow below the input field. That's the simple example of what feedback might look like whenever you're working on any product, or whenever you're trying to improve the user experience of any product. So whenever I click on this as well, whenever my mouse over on this, you can see that at every point in time, the user is getting a feedback, making them to know that, okay, you are on this place, you're on this, you're on this, you're on that, and you are not yet lost. So, and what responsiveness might look like in terms of key principle is simply this. Let's take, for example, I reduce the size of this to look like a mobile screen. You can easily see that it is responsive, whereby every text, every input field I've used is still intact, so whereby the user can still easily navigate through and do whatever they want to do without stressing themselves. That is a simple example of what feedback and responsiveness looks like when it comes to design and when it comes to user experience. And another key thing in UI UX fundamental is the user experience design process, which number one of it is what we call the research. The number two in user experience design process is what we call define. Number three is ideate. Number four is design. Number five is test. Number six is implement. I will start with research and I would explain it in details. Number one, which is the research, deals with you conducting user interviews, conducting surveys, con- conducting competitive analysis to understand what the user needs, which we will be dealing with extensively in this bootcamp, whereby we'll be able to practicalize what all this means. Today class is just an introductory class to what user experience case study might look like, is why I'm listing out these things. And as the class goes on, we would always have an on deck classes whereby everyone will be working alongside what we are teaching. And the next thing you do in your user design experience process is define. And defining your user experience design process entails you identifying what the problem or what the pain point of the user is. The pain point of the user is what the user is facing, the problem the user is facing. An example of a problem the user might be facing while using a product or while using a particular website is when, for example, let's say the user is clicking on a particular input field, and where he's clicking on is not where he's click is not picking exactly, whereby let's say we have two input field laid down simultaneously, and he's trying to click on probably fill his name, and is experiencing the glitch, or let's say is experiencing the problem of it clicking on fill his mobile number or a mobile number instead of filling the name. That might be a very, very big pain point when it comes to user experience. And if we are going to be looking at our user experience principles, there is a law that talks about this spacing in text. I think that is Fitz law, or also whereby every input field, every item, every element, everything in your design has to be well spaced, whereby it won't be affecting each whenever you're trying to select an item and it is selecting something else. So like that can be a pain point. Another pain point whereby user face in using a product is, let's say they want a particular item, or they want a particular feature in that particular product and they're not getting it. Let's say let's take WhatsApp for our case study, for example. Before WhatsApp implemented the feature whereby you can tag someone on your status, I mean, everyone has always been wondering that I want this person to see my status, but at the end of the day, the person doesn't end up seeing the status. So that is a very big pain point for so many users, which I'm quite confident of. Because most time, let's say you have a friend or a family member doing a birthday party, or the person is throwing a party or throwing a wedding anniversary, and you make a post about the person, wishing the person well, and at the end of the day, the person end up making a comment like, "Oh, you didn't wish me on my birthday, you didn't wish me on my wedding anniversary," and you were like, "Ah, I posted on my status, but you didn't get to see this. How come?" Like that is a very big pain point, and where WhatsApp has been able to solve that pain point is by including the feature whereby whenever you post about someone, you are being able to tag the person and the person gets to see your status at first and immediately. So that can be an example of what pain point is in user experience design process, like in identifying what your user problem or pain points might look like. And the other thing in defining is developing a clear goal and a success matrix for the product. And this simply means you have to develop what the end of the problem you have identified would look like after you've solved the problem. What's the end product, I mean the solution you've provided, or what your goal is at the end of the day after identifying the problem is what it means by developing a clear goal and a success metrics for the product. The third thing in user experience design process is ideating, which simply talks about brainstorming ideas, creating wireframes, high fidelity, low fidelity prototypes, visualizing your ideas. And ideating is something that I feel all user experience designers should get used to when it comes to building a product and solving a particular problem, because you must be able to list out different iteration, different approach in terms of the UI, in terms of the high fidelity design, in terms of your ideas to solving that particular problem, and fabricating the best approach to it in terms of the design, in terms of the visual solutions, and as well in terms of the prototype at the end of the day. And the next thing in the user experience design process is designing, which simply talks about developing high fidelity design, low fidelity design, interactions, which is about UI design, using tools like either Figma, Adobe Sketch, prototypes to like make a prototype of what you want your product to look like at the end of the day, which talks about what it will look like after it has been built or after it has been written by a programmer at the end of the day. So that's why you use tools like Protopy to bring your projects to life and test what the user experience might feel like. And the next thing in user experience design process is testing the particular product or the particular problem you've tried to solve. So while testing this particular problem you've tried to solve, you talk about conducting usability testing to identify what the issue is and gather feedback from the problem you have tried to solve. Let's say, for example, you've tried to solve a problem of a career service whereby you've introduced the feature of carriers being able to of users being able to use the feature of they can now probably buy food on your carrier service, whereby it was just only the delivery service that was there before, probably just pick up and drop off that was on your carrier service. Let's say it was the delivery service of that was there before, and you now introduce the food delivery your career service. So after you've introduced this particular feature, you have to test what you've introduced to your users to know what their feedback is like. Because without user feedback, you're not building for yourself. You're definitely building for the users. They are the one that can tell you what they're experiencing when they're using your products. And this feedback are the things that will help you shape your product and shape the user experience you are trying to build for that particular product and for that problem you've identified as well. And the last thing in the user experience design process is implementing your feedbacks and implementing everything you've designed and bringing everything into conclusion, which simply deals with working hand in hand with developers. The last thing I'll be talking about in terms of user experience fundamentals. The last thing I'll be talking about in terms of user experience fundamentals is the best practices for effective UI UX. Number one of them is simplifying your navigation. So whenever you are designing or whenever you're trying to craft a good user experience for users, always ensure you simplify your navigation. Use simple menu and simple clear paths for users to find what they need easily. If on your website everything that is there is just probably the home, product and services, and our FAQ that is on your website. One way to improve the user experience is whenever users click on the navigation bar at the top of your website, it should take them directly to that page without having the users to stress themselves to find what they need at the end of the day. And another thing is prioritizing mobile first design. Most users are always using products on the go, which I believe everyone would agree to, because most products, most websites, the most people using them are always on the go, which is why the best practices for effective UI UX is making sure that you prioritize the mobile view of what your design looks like, or the mobile responsiveness of what your design looks like, because most users are always on the go whenever they are using these products, and they're like one of the people you would always have to like prioritize first, because there will be the most people using your products most of the time. So you would always have to design for smaller screen first before you even scale up for larger devices. And that is because most of the users are always on the go. They're always probably inside the bus. They want to probably order food before they get home. They're always probably in the office. They want to order food before they get home. They won't have to probably open their laptops and now start saying, I want to order food on my laptop. Most people want to use their device because they're moving here and there, and the only device that you can carry conveniently to any place is your mobile device, which is your mobile phone, which is the smaller screen. That is why user experience designers are always encouraged to design for smaller screen first when it comes to some certain products before you scale up for larger devices. And the last thing I'll be talking about in terms of best practices is test your product often, which talks about the fact that any product you've built, any ideas you've come up with, any problem you've tried to solve, any pain point you've tried to tackle as a user experience designer, you must always test this idea at the end of the day. Testing your idea wouldn't only depend on you having to build the product. It can always still depend on you having to send surveys to gather information about this idea or this solution you're trying to solve. Let's say you've conceived an inspiration, or you have the mind to solve a particular problem for a particular product. The first thing you will have to do is to send out questionnaires to hear about people's view about this particular product. When we are exploring different case studies, I will show you what this thing looks like so that we can have a better and clear understanding of what I'm talking about. And I'll just talk about the last but not the least thing in the UI UX fundamentals, which is trends in UI UX. Lately we are having dark mode trends, micro interactions, voice UI, AI, and personalization, which is tailoring user experience based on their preference and their behavior. And whenever we as user experience designer, or whenever you're trying to build a case study that revolves around user experience, you would always have to prioritize every users, even the disabled. You have to prioritize them whenever you are building any products or coming up with any user experience idea, or whenever you are solving any problem. So I would love to take in a couple of questions before I move on to the next part of tonight's section. So if you want to, if you have any question, you can raise your hand and you can go on with your question, please. Please, we have just couple of minutes for questions. If you have any, you can just raise up your hand or mute yourself, ask your question, and I would give a detailed answer to that. Okay, I think there is no question. And to be sure everybody has followed what I've been taking or talking about all along, can I get a reaction that everybody's understanding what I've been talking about? Can I get a reaction from everybody, please, to be very sure that everything is well understood and we all are following effectively and nobody's lagging behind? All right, I can see a couple of people reacting already and making some thumbs up. That's a very great feedback. Tonight's class is just more of an introductory class. By our next class, we'll be having a very practical class whereby the Figma link we've created, everybody will be on the Figma link, and we all will be working together to create something meaningful and have something to present on our portfolios at the end of the day. So I'll be moving on to the second part of tonight's section, which is understanding what's the importance of a well-structured case study is for your portfolio. So case studies are not just case studies, it has to be well structured, and even after it has been well structured, it still has to be something that captures your hiring manager or the recruiter's attention as fast as possible, because whenever recruiters are trying to hire user experience designers, they don't spend a bunch of time on your case study or spend a bunch of time on your portfolios. They just skim through and spend probably at max probably 2 minutes, because there are a bunch of other portfolios for them to look at. So you'd always have to bear in mind some things you will have to put into actions for you to be able to capture anyone coming on your portfolio as is going to be reading your case study attention. So one of the importance of case studies on your portfolio is to demonstrate your problem solving skill. So case studies always showcase your ability to identify, to analyze user needs, and to create effective solution. That is why the first thing there is that case study demonstrates your problem solving skill. They want to know how you think, how you approach a particular problem, how you tackle ideas, or how you present your ideas whenever you're trying to solve a problem. And trust me that employers and clients or hiring managers want to see how you think. They are not really interested in what your UI feels like or what your wireframe feels like. They want to know how you think, how you've been able to solve this problem. They want to know the processes the processes you've undergone or undergo to solve this particular process problem, or this particular pain points that you've identified as a user experience designer. And Another reason why case studies are very, very important in your portfolio is that it tells the stories behind your work. So a portfolio of a portfolio that is full of images might look great, fine. A portfolio full of nice work, nice visuals might look great, but case studies on your portfolio would always reveal the journey that is behind that particular work that you've come up with. It would tell what the challenge was. It will tell the client or the employer how you approached that challenge, and it will tell them the decision you've made. Not just that you've made that decision, it will tell them why you've made that decision. And another thing that case study does in your portfolio, I mean, a well-structured case study, is that it gives context to your work and help anybody that is reading it understand your thought process. They want to know the reason why you said that, okay, let's do this. They want to know the reason why you've seen this thing as a problem. They want to know the reason why you've provided this solution and why that solution is the best approach to the problem you've identified as a user experience designer. And the next importance of a well-structured case study on your portfolio is it highlights your process. It tells it highlights what your research and your analysis was, how you were able to make research on the competitors of that particular product, how you were able to analyze the information you've gotten from a particular product or a particular competitor of that product you are trying to solve a particular pain point for. And they want to see how you have been able to make ideations, prototyping. They want to see your testing process, your iteration process, and lastly, they want to see your final implementation. So user experience design is much centered around process, thought process. They want to know why you've made series of decisions you've made in solving a particular problem. They want to know what your thought process was and why you've made some certain decisions, and not just why you've made them, and the research you've done, things you've done, processes you've undergo while trying to solve this particular problem. And another importance that a well-structured case study give to your portfolio is that it proves your impact on a particular product. And case study would always allow you to like provide metrics and measurable results on any idea you've conceived. And what measurable results can look like is what has happened to that product after you've identified a particular problem. Let's say after WhatsApp have identified the problem of users want to tag their friends, they want to mention their friends in their status so that they can see it. What happened at the end of this problem they have solved? So metrics and measurable results would be based on increased user engagement, as a particular problem. These are the things that case studies does for you when it comes to your portfolio. It tells what you've been able to achieve, like what impacts that problem you've seen has been able to do on the product. So if you've identified a particular problem or a particular pinpoint, after solving that particular problem or after providing a solution to that particular pinpoint, there there must be an impact at the end of the day. There must be a result. It is either there are more sign-ups on the particular product at the end of the day. It's either that users find the product or the app more interesting to use or more seamless to navigate at the end of the product. Or another thing is that maybe users find it more lively to use in terms of what the user experience bring, because there are some mobile applications that once you sign in on it, you find it very interesting to use, and that is out of probably bunch of interactions on that particular website, which is keeping the users stay more on the website. And that is something called user retention. How long were users able to achieve what they want to achieve after you solve this particular problem? Those are like the things you can use to measure your impact on a particular product. So after you've solved the problem, always have in mind that there must be an impact on that product. After you solve the particular pain points, always have in mind that there must be an impact you've created. And trust me, when it comes to hiring, or when it even comes to your CV as a designer, and if someone is skimming through your CV and they want to see what you've done, they want to see metrics, they want to see measurable results. What have you been able to do for this particular product when you worked for them? They want to see places where you've written that after I solved this particular problem, there was 90% user retention, there was 100% conversion rate in terms of how users use this particular website or these particular applications. So it is not just about finding a pain point or finding a problem and solving. It has to be something measurable at the end of the day when it comes to case studies. And those are those things that gives your portfolio value, that the client or any employer is looking out for. And one other thing that a well-structured case study does for your portfolio is that it showcases your skill. It demonstrates the skills you have, which is your user experience research skill, which user experience research encompass surveys, interviews, doing competitive analysis, your wireframing, your prototyping skill, your collaboration and communication skills. Some case studies, it won't be only you that you'll be on the team. You can have probably a team of 5 working on a particular case study. And what case studies does at times too is that it showcases how you were able to collaborate effectively with your team members, and how you were able to communicate with team members or stakeholders when it comes to problem solving and solving products problems for stakeholders. And another thing that case study does for your portfolio is it shows your testing and iteration skill. It shows how you were able to gather feedbacks. It shows how you were able to implement those feedback to increase the user experience. And another importance of a well-structured case study on your portfolio is that it builds credibility. A well a well-structured case study shows that you are not just producing good visuals. It shows that you are solving a real world problem. So it's not just about that I've done a very beautiful UI. What problem have you been able to solve? That is what case studies does for your portfolio. And like I've said earlier, it shows your thinking process. It shows how you were able to go about things in terms of your research, in terms of your approach to the problem, in terms of your competitive analysis you've done on the products, and in terms of how you were able to manage feedbacks as well. And one other thing is that it helps you reflect and grow. And trust me, one thing that case study does is that it forces you to analyze your own process, and makes you know where you are lagging behind in terms of your thought process. And it's also every sharpen your skill in terms of how you solve real life problems. So that's one thing that case study does to your portfolio, and what it does to you in terms of individual, whereby it helps you reflect and grow at the same time. And one thing that I would say that is the key element of a well-structured case study is that number one, in your case study, you must have what we call your project overview, which simply or briefly explain what the problem is or what the project's goal is. The number two thing that is the key element of a well-structured case study is probably you identifying the role you've taken in that particular case study. If it is a team case study, you have to clarify what your responsibility was on that case study, what you were tasked with to do on that case study, and it clarifies your collaborative efforts. So it makes the employer or the client knows that, okay, you were the one that handled the competitive analysis. You were the one that handled user feedback. You were the one that handled wireframing. You were the one that handled prototyping. That is why, like, it is always very important to like state what your role was and state what your responsibility and collaboration effort was on that particular project. And the third thing I would say is very important as a key element of a well-structured case study is stating your problem statements, which that's like where your case study starts. Because it is a particular problem that case study is solving. So you stating what that challenge, what user pain point was, addressing it effectively and in a very simple and concise way that you won't have to write lengthy information to pass a particular message to anybody reading through your case study. So when you are stating your problem statement, in as much as you want to tell the user reading it or anybody coming through your case study that this is the problem, in as much as you want to tell those things and make them comprehensive, you must as well bear in mind that you have to make it as concise as possible, as employers or clients or anybody that is looking forward to hire you for a position won't have the whole time in the world to be reading through all these things. They want something that is very concise and as well passing the information as easy as anything. And the next thing you would want to move on to in terms of key elements for a well-structured case study, which is the fourth thing, is include user interviews, surveys, and competitive analysis. After this section, I'll be taking you guys through series or case studies I've identified that would give you guys a simple or clear idea of what all these key elements means. And as I am taking you guys through those case studies that I've curated, I'll still be coming back to these key elements to be pointing them out to you, how important they are. So the next thing, which is the fifth element of a well-structured case study, is your design process. You have to document your sketches, your wireframe. You have to document how you went about your prototyping. You have to document what your testing was like. And the sixth thing is your final solution. You have to share your final solution with intuitive users, a very clean and aesthetically pleasing UI that grabs anybody's attention that they won't want to go. You have to make it as watery as your user experience has been. So it's not just about creating the user experience alone. You have to create something that is modern, that whenever anybody comes to or whenever anybody comes across, they'll be like, this person has done a very, very great job. And another thing you want to include, which is the seventh key element of a well-structured case study, is the impact, which is where you highlight your key metrics, testimonials, or probably feedback at the end of the day on whatever you've been able to solve. So the impact you've created on that particular product at the end of the day has to be included, which impact can be as testimonials or feedback or probably metrics if you were able to measure the results with quantitative informations. And the last but not the least thing that is a key element in your case study is reflection. So reflection talks about what you learned in this process of you solving this particular problem. In this process of you tackling this particular pain point, what you learned in your approach process, and how it has how it has influenced you, or how it is going to influence your future work. So you have to discuss that in your case study, and while listing those 8 things I've mentioned, it will give your case study a very strong credibility, and it will make it stand out among a couple of case studies when it comes to probably people skimming through or scrutinizing your case study. When these 8 key things are well laid out in your case study, trust me, you are good to go. And at the end of the day, we should always have in mind that case study would always transform your portfolio from a gallery of design into a narrative of your own capability. So it's your case study won't just make your portfolio feel like a gallery of where you just put on beautiful works, but it will tell what you are capable of doing. It will tell what you are confident of doing in terms of what your thinking process is, and in terms of how you have been able to tackle process when it comes to user experience problem. And a well-structured case study would always make a big difference when it comes to pitching your ideas for clients. And a well-structured case study too would always help you make a big difference when it comes to applying for jobs, because it would always give you an edge whenever your employer or your clients go through your case study. So this comes to the end of this particular section. And once again, I will be open. Okay, someone is raising up his hand already. Yeah, so
All right.
you can ask your question.
So when you're working on a project with other people, take for example like a company project, and so how do you get to prepare a case study for that? Because you're just doing a part of the design, and it's a company, so they don't really care about building case studies. They're just building for clients. So then, how do you go about building a case study when you're in that kind of scenario? Thank you.
So when it comes to company work, there's something called NDA, which is non-disclosure agreement. So I'm pretty sure you can't really put your company work on your portfolio. Even if you are going to do, you have to tweak it.
So this
And
particular scenario, I was allowed to. This
okay,
particular scenario for this project, I was allowed to. I was told I had the
you are
permission.
allowed to.
Yes.
It is as easy as you still going about like after listing the names of people that worked on the project together, which is not only you state out or you highlight what your own impact was, like what you handled in that particular project. So if it was the UI you handled, you list it out at the top of your project, which is like the third thing you have to put in your case study.
Okay.
What your role was, like you have to like clarify it and let the person that is reading your case study understand that okay, this is what this person did on this project.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. So that means I don't have to think about doing user research and all of that. All of that. I just tell them what I did, and that's all for the
Yeah,
case.
like in as much as those things has been done already, I mean, if
So I
if
don't before I got there.
yes, so like if you can get those information from the company or people that has worked on the project, ask them to take you through that process, through that project, understand what the project entails, understand the problem they've solved, understand what their thinking process was while solving that problem. So when you joined, you will now try to list out what your own collaborative effort was
Okay.
when putting it on your portfolio, so that anybody coming through it or anybody reading through your case study will know that okay, this is what this person have done on this project. This is what his own thinking process was, because it's a collaborative project.
Okay.
So
Thank you very much.
yeah, you're welcome. Any question, please? You can please raise up your hand and go ahead with your questions. Okay, in absence of questions, to be very sure that everyone has followed through to this point that we are Once again, I will require everyone to probably drop an emoji or a reaction showing if they fully understand, they never lagged behind. Okay, someone is raising up his hand, is around. You can please unmute yourself and ask your question, please. You can go ahead. Someone raised up a hand. Yeah, I can see everyone reacting. That's a very good impression. I really love that. Okay, in absence of no other question, I would love us to move on to the next phase of tonight's section, which is exploring the case studies I've curated for us, like have a little understanding of what a good case study entails. So I'll be sharing my screen for you guys to see. Okay, beautiful. So before I move on, each case study here that I've highlighted or created is a case study from each of us, who are your facilitators. We are like the first and example of what a good case study should look like. We are to serve as a good example. So like we all have created our case studies for you guys to see what we have done in our previous case studies and what we've been able to achieve, because it wouldn't really make sense bringing just a random case study for you guys. We as the facilitators, we are your first-hand example or first-hand someone you should be looking up to in terms of what a good case study would have entailed. So let's start up with this. So this is an example of a group project. You can see, like I said, in the key element of what a well-structured case study should look like, you should state what your like state who the team members were, state what you did. For example, this project was made by Kehinde, which is like a facilitator on this bootcamp as well. You can easily see that he stated is the team lead of this particular case study. And the next thing he moved to is stating the project overview. So you can see that as much as possible, he has made it concise that you can just easily skim through within split seconds and understand what the person is trying to achieve. The next thing he moved to is stating his problem statement or his challenges. After that, he stated what the solution to the problem was, and he moved on to what the product is offering, which you can see that he has highlighted those things. At the end of this section, I would drop all these case studies link on the group for everyone to be able to access and see what they'll be working on, or sample of things they should look at and have in mind that, okay, this is like what I would be working on, or something you'll be looking forward to like to achieve on your own end as well. So this person has come on to like state what the product is offering, which is a very good user experience, telling the user of or the reader of this particular case study what this particular product is doing. Next thing he moved on to is the scope of work, which I stated in the key elements. The scope of work, which he listed what the design process was like, researched, ideate, prototype, and they moved on to the visualization. So from the research, if we should move on, you will see in his research that he has been able to like come up with a couple of user personas in his research. So your user research deals with interviews, it deals with user personas, the problem statement, user journey map, competitive analysis. That is what your research entails, which we can see here. That's what the user problem was. If you see user interview and user persona. So in the user interview, it was able to know what the user pain point is, which is that user often feel stressed, overwhelmed, feel stressed due to failed payments. User undergo stress in navigating process of online store, they shop at, blah blah blah, and these other points. Like it was able to like state out what user pain points are. And here he has curated two user persona. And from that user persona, that user persona talks about who like an example of the two users he has interviewed is, and what their pain points is. The first user persona here talks about I undergo a lot of stress due to failed payments sometimes. I undergo stress in the process of navigating through the online store I shop at. The second person pain point was I feel cheated because the quality of arrived products wasn't as good as what's stated on the store. Those are like their pain points. And user personas is to talk about who the user are in their everyday life. We can see that Alex is a tech savvy. Shola is a model who is passionate about what she does, and like so your user persona is to simply talk about who your users are in terms of when you were making your user interview. So you can have up to 6 user persona as much as you can go. It can't be limited to 2. You can go on to like 4, 5, 6, and state what your feedbacks were after like interviewing these users. The next thing he moved on to in his research process is competitive analysis, which is talking about other products doing the same thing that this product is doing, and trying to know probably what their pain points are, what they are doing best, what their features are. So we can see that he has listed Farfetch with their logo for any employer or any hiring manager that might want to look them up, so that the person won't be getting it wrong or something. He has put them there that Farfetch does this is their feature, this is their feature, this is their feature. Forward is an online commerce platform too that helps apparel of different kinds of purchase. Like he has listed what the competitive analysis are, and he has stated their feature. So him stating the feature is trying to know what this one is doing best, what this one is doing best, what this one is doing best. Because without your competitive analysis, you can't really know if that problem that you're trying to solve has been solved before or not. So your competitive analysis would give you an insight of what other products are doing and what they are not doing. So you get to know what you can implement in your solution. So, and he moved on to qualitative analysis, where he stated that our goal is to serve the users in getting this and that. And he stated this qualitative analysis here, which are like couple of questions to ask the users. And after that he has asked the users, and after that, he moved on to his quantitative analysis. All these things will be well dealt with in the process of this bootcamp. So just be rest assured that everything will be something that everybody's going to do hands on deck together. It's going to be a practical class whereby we'll be doing it hand in hand, and nobody will be lagging behind at all. So just be rest assured. This is just to show you what a good case study would look like at the end of the day, and what you would be able to do, or what you will be doing, or what you have presented by the end of this bootcamp. Because at the end of the bootcamp, every single team member must be able to present a strong case study for their portfolio. And that's like one of the main purpose of this bootcamp. And he moved on to his quantitative analysis, which in every question that is being listed in the qualitative analysis is being able to like come up with metrics. So quantitative analysis deals with metrics most of the time. So what category of age do you fall under? For 46 and above, we can see that the ring has been able to like show what people of 46 and above is taking, which is 25%, and what 15 to 45 people age range falls on. So we can see what the competitive analysis looks like at the end of the day. So competitive analysis is more of metrics, or is more of numbers, which is like one of the things that gives you a great insight on what you should do next and what you should not do. And the next thing the person has moved to in his problem solving skill, or in his case study, is the task flow, which is like the user journey map, how the user uses the app, or how the user make use of the application or the software. So the first thing the user do is launch the app, onboarding process, have an account. If you don't have an account, you sign up. If you have an account, you log in. Then on the home page, next thing you do is browse categories, select shoes, details of the shoes, add to cart, make payments, confirm order. And at the end of the day, after confirming your order, you move back to your home page. So that is why it is called user journey map. So it shows what the user does in terms of how he or she navigates through the app. So the next thing he moved on to is typography and its color, which states the size of fonts, the font family he has used in this particular product UI, or this particular case study UI, when he was coming up with his high fidelity and low fidelity designs. So he has stated the typography, he has picked Montserrat, and he stated out what his primary colors were, his secondary colors were. He created his little color palette. And next thing he did was to move on to his low fidelity design and high fidelity design. And always bear in mind that most of your most important part of your case study is your approach to the problem, the way you are solving the problem, your research process. These things you are looking at here are like one of the most important things to like consider when it comes to a case study. That is why it's called user experience research. Like you make research to draw out solutions. So you don't just draw out solutions from what your mind is telling you. You validate what your mind is telling you with research. So your research would always tell you if that feature is something that users are looking forward to, or if it's something that users are not really intrigued about. So that's what user experience does for you. And after is is low fidelity design, which is more of sketches and a rough look of what design is going to look like. We moved on to the high fidelity design, whereby colors are being implemented, icons are being implemented, and images are being implemented as well. And afterwards, we moved on to high fidelity key feature, whereby it explained every feature that is in the app extensively. The search field, he explained why it has been implemented. The search field in this shoe app lets you quickly know how to find your shoe. So like every process, everything you have implemented has to come with a reason why it is there. And one feature again here is the search camera, which allows users to take picture of any shoe and find similar shoe using advanced image recognition. So every element, everything that has been implemented on this high fidelity design comes with its reason. And that's like one thing that hiring managers want to see. One thing that probably potential employers want to see. They want to see how you think. They want to see your thought process in selecting all these things. They don't just want to see a final product. They want to see what you have done, what how you were able to go about them, what each icon signifies, what is the importance of this icon, why have you included home, why have you included this camera icon here, why have you included the search field. Like they want to know what your thinking process is all through. And if you take a look at this particular case study, he has in details explained every single thing and every single feature that has been implemented on this case study. And at the end of the day, it was like, thank you for exploring our theme project. Nobody or no layman would come to this case study and read and not know the purpose that this case study has solved, or the problem that this case study has solved already. So that's like this like one of good example of what a good case study would look like. So let's move on to the next case study I have on ground. This is a fintech case study. You can see in this case study, the person has stated his role. That's what like I always say. And one of the key things in the elements of a well-structured case study is state your role. Tell them what you did. yeah, this person is like the sole product designer here, and he gave a project overview, which is more of the introduction at first. He moved on to his problem statement. He stated the problem statement. He stated his goal, what he wants to achieve at the end of the project. Then he moved on to the design process. Then the first design process is to understand, define, ideate. In terms of UI design, it designs and it tests his UI. And he moved on to his research process. In the research process entails your user persona competitive analysis, like I showed you guys in the last project, which is what you can see here. So your user persona would tell the person reading your case study what a potential user is facing in terms of his frustrations and his fears. So for this user, you can see that the person's frustration has been listed, and the person goal in terms of why he's using that particular application or that particular software tool was listed, and what motivates the person. So user persona is more of um a qualitative documentation of what your user interview was after interviewing a particular user in terms of what they are facing using this particular app, what motivates them to use it, what was their goal in terms of why they are using the particular app, and what is their everyday life activity like. And we moved on to something we called empathy map. So empathy map is like a map that tells you what the user says, how he thinks, what he does, and what he feels. So the user says that I struggle with managing my finance irregular, due to my irregular income. And he thinks that he values flexibility and independence in work. And he thinks that managing his finance effectively is very important for achieving stability and independence. And what he does is he works as a freelancer. This is like a user experience research talking about what people are feeling or what people's feelings are. So empathy is you trying to know what a particular user feels in terms of how he's using a particular app or the user experience he gets from using a software or an application. So this empathy map talks about what the user says, what he thinks, what he does, what he feels. So what he feels talks about his frustrations as well, his motivation, what he's curious about, what he's overwhelmed about. And these are like still couple of user persona. Like I said in the last project I was showing you guys, I said you can have close to 4 user persona. So this like 2 here and this like another 2 in form of user empathy map, which shows what the user thinks, feels, and what the user does. And we have what we call our information architecture, which is more of like the user journey and what the whole application entails, which information architecture simply breaks down. So on the home page, you see what the whole application have on the home page. It has card details, payment, send, top up, convert. On the card navigation, you see your card details, freeze. So the information architecture talks about every feature or everything you tend to come across whenever you're using this particular app. After that, he moves on to his low fidelity design. He moved on to the high fidelity design, and after that, he rounded up his case study. So this is like an example of one again. I would move on to this. This is like a personal case study. This is like my first ever case study, and I'm using it because I attended just a day boot camp as well that time, and it was that boot camp that gave me an idea of what a good case study should look like. So the problem overview was well stated. I stated my role. I'm the sole UI UX designer. I had no one collaborating with me. I stated how long I used, and I stated the tools I've used in this project. In this project, I stated my problem, which I gave like a brief story behind the problem. I stated my solution. I moved on to my workflow, which is my research. I defined, I ideate, I prototyped, and in my research, because the project was on Uber. I was trying to bring up another feature for the Uber app that everybody knows, which is Uber Move. Is the new feature I'm trying to implement. And my research on Uber, in terms of my analysis, Uber analysis is how many customers they has, what's their annual revenue is, how many drivers they have around the world, how many countries are they available at. I moved on to my competitive analysis, where today we want to know who Uber competitors would be and what they do differently. That's why I said competitive analysis is very, very important in your case study, which shows what they are doing differently and what you are going to do. So I listed out these three competitive competitors of Uber, which have stated what they are doing under them and what they don't have. For example, Move It is an on-demand transaction application that makes all moving and delivering relocation of property easy, but does not have the feature that gives user the flexibility to select the truck they feel is suitable for them. So the problem I'm trying to solve is not that someone else has not solved it, or it's not that there's not a software or an application that has been built already to solve that problem, but there is still a but. So for every product you're seeing out there, there's still always a loophole we can still find and solve that particular problem. And before you can solve that particular problem, you have to make what is called your competitive analysis to know what other products have done, to know what they have done differently and what they are not doing that you will be implementing in terms of the solution you are trying to solve. And after that, I moved on to user interview. So based on my previous research, I've interviewed 3 people to understand their use of Uber better. User always need to go to other apps to use carrier service. That's what I've founded after my interview. User always find it hard to get truck or van of their choice. User always want to schedule a pickup or time or dates for their truck deliveries. And from the survey and the questionnaire I sent out, these were my questionnaire question, and these were like a quantitative analysis of the feedbacks I got from those questions. Which one of those questions was, which of these apps do you make use of frequently? And these were like the feedbacks I got from those questionnaires I've sent outside. Everything is well documented for anybody reading through to like have a glimpse of what I've been able to do, what my research process was like. And the next thing I moved on to is defining. And in the defining, there's something I call an insight. So an insight is something that gives you idea of what to keep in mind when creating this feature. So most users use friend or referral to get carrier service. Users turn to other applications to use their other service. And these insights are gotten from the research I made in terms of my user interview after sending out questionnaires. Because without your questionnaires used as a way of your of creating your feedbacks, you can't really know what feature to come up with or how effective to approach your solution. And the next thing I moved on to is the how might we section. Like I personally called it how might we. So from my insights, I was able to bring out how might we to frame our problem and to better understand the problem. So one of the how might we is how might we increase user interaction, guaranteeing the user privacy and sense of private space. How might we make the new feature something quick to access and keep the experience effective? And I listed out a couple of how might we. And next thing I moved on to is user persona. From my research, I was able to know what their need is and what their frustration is. After that, I moved on to my user flow, which is like a user journey map on how they use the app. So, and my focus is on the move app. So why is that sign up? They move to the home page, what they see, they select, they probably choose a mover small, a mover medium, a mover large. And this is like a simple flow of how the user are going to be using the products. And next thing I moved on to is my user, my visual design in terms of the font I've selected, my secondary colors and my primary colors. And after that, I moved on to my sketches and wireframe. After my sketches and wireframe, I moved on to my high fidelity design, which are these, because I'm trying to create a new feature for Uber. So I as much as possible added this truck service I'm trying to implement in the new Uber feature, so that users can always know that this thing is now available on this application. And I've been able to come up with different high fidelity design with explanations on each sections, why each section has been selected, the reasons behind each section. So after doing my user testing, I was able to get night testers even after creating my prototype and how long the session lasted for. And the goal is to check if users are embracing the new feature, find error in the user flow, ensure clarity in optimized user flow. And my main takeaways, I stated them and I rounded up my case study. I'll move on to another case study here, which will be like the last case study I'll be listing out. I will send out the remaining link of the case studies to us to be able to look through them and get a glimpse of what a good case study might entail. So this is the last case study, and this case study was created on Medium. Kudos to Ojo Olagbe Olatunji. The title of the case study is Designing Lagos BRT mobile app that includes the cowrie transport payment system. That's like defining what this problem, this case study is. The person moved on to the duration, what his role was. You can always see that everyone stated what their role was. That means she did the user experience, UI UX design, style guide, interactive prototype, the tools she has used, and she stated little about the BRT transport payments. She moved on to the challenge. She listed the issues faced: shortage of buses, commuters getting to their various destinations late. Afterwards, she dropped couple of users' feedback, which are like the pain points users are facing. This is a very great user experience in terms of what this case study entails, because she has included a real life feedback from users trying to solve this problem. So she has included these users from probably their websites or their Play Store feedbacks or App Store feedbacks. And she moved on to the goal. She stated her design process. She moved on to her user research. She kicked off and she stated what it was extensively and comprehensively. And during her research, these were her questionnaires that she sent outside. And from her feedbacks, these are like the key challenges he has been able to identify. I'll send the link to everyone so that everyone can view this properly. And we can see our quantitative feedback from the questionnaire she has sent out, which are represented in the pie charts. And she moved on to the user personas. These are the user personas. I'm using a very large screen. Apologies to everyone. You may not be able to like see this properly, but I'll send out the link so that you can view them properly. So then she moved on to our solution, our user flow. She moved on to the wireframe, and after that, she explained a couple of things. She explained her onboarding process, which is this. Before she moved on to the UI, okay, she moved on to the bottom navigation system. She explained the reason why she has chosen them. The home page, she explained reason for this, and the boss page. So like every high fidelity design or every decision everyone is making, they always ensure that there is a particular reason behind them. So design are not just design. There has to be a thought process before you come up with them. So that is why you have seen a simple explanation before each UI, stating the reason why she has done this. This is the current design. This was the previous design. Like she documented a process into to comprehensively, so that you can always know what she has done, the reason for every action she has made or she has taken. And we can all see what a prototype look like. This is the link to a prototype for anyone that will be viewing. You can always click this to view the link to the prototype. And this was our learning and our takeaways from the project. And in the key elements like a well-structured case study, you must always have a takeaway, what you've learned in the process of this project. So everyone, I'll stop sharing my screen. This comes to the end of tonight's section. I hope everyone has been able to learn one or two things from tonight's class. And I would love to know if anyone have any question, and I would love to know what your feedbacks are in terms of the emojis reactions, to know if this was a very insightful class. I would love to know everyone's feedback. If you have any question, you can go on, unmute yourself and ask any question that you have. Okay. Baby Salah, you can unmute yourself to ask a question.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Yeah, good
So
evening.
well done, Odeleye, and well done to all other facilitators. So I would love to ask, concerning the case study you presented just now. So you presented the first one where it's a joint project where it's showing different teams that has
Yeah,
worked on the project, right?
yeah.
So what I want to ask, okay, is it the team, those that are there, are they just UX designers, UI UX designers, or we can also have other tech people like the product manager? Is it possible? Like, can
Okay.
you add others too?
Here is the tweak to it. For the project manager, if he's going to be presenting this on his or her portfolio, she has to state what her role is on the particular case study. So
Okay.
yeah, I would just share the screen again for the purpose of this question to answer it properly. Um, okay, let me share this. Okay, so for example, now on this project, I had my role. I am the sole UI UX designer. That means I worked on it alone. Do you get me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so like if it is a product product manager that wants to present this on his or her portfolio, you will have to like state your role. And since this is not a direct product manager case study, it was just that she collaborated with you as a UI UX designer to like manage the product. So she would have to like state out what she did on the product or on the case study. So the fact that I'm the sole UI UX designer, I didn't need to like state what I did again, because I already stated there that I'm the sole UI UX designer. That means I'm the only one that did this project on my own end to end. So if in the case of there are a couple of team members on the project, so at the beginning you guys can simply state what each person role was. So I'll share this. Okay. So here you can see that everyone was listed there, and this person was the team lead of this project, and would have really make more sense
Okay.
if each person role had been probably included. But because this person is
Exactly.
like this project is on this person portfolio, I don't know if you get me. That is why like
Okay.
included what he did. Is the team lead. He led the project. So stating it out should not be something really hard for anyone to do whenever you want to state what your role was, because stating what your role was would always easily tell what you did on the project. Someone else raised up. Okay. Okay, still the same person. So is there any other question, please? Am I clear enough? Sorry. Or do you still have any other question? Okay, so in absence of no question, there is an
I still have a
exercise for
question though.
everyone. Okay, go on.
Sorry, it was network. I was talking. So I wanted to ask,
Oh,
lastly, what if for example, I design a fintech, like a fintech app, and fintech app that's like the particular app is the app that has a lot of screens, and the case study you presented now, seeing where you put the screens you've designed. So is it that I'm going to pick like those that are like more of like they are of priority? Are they the ones I'm going to add, or will I add all the screens? Like if there are like over 42 screens. I don't know if you understand.
yeah, like I get your question properly. You don't necessarily have to add every screen. You have to
Okay.
prioritize the main screen that captures the problem you're solving. So that
Okay.
is why it's advisable at times to drop a link to your prototype, or a link to like what you've prototyped, what your end product was like, so that anyone can just easily navigate and see what other screen feels like. So you prioritize the screens that captures that particular feature or that particular pain point you're solving, and you include them.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Yeah, Nessa, you can go on. You can unmute yourself.
Okay, good evening. So, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you properly.
Okay, so my question is this here. So, of all the portfolios you showed us here, there's
Yeah,
no single one for a website. So, portfolios for only mobile apps,
portfolios
website
for mobile
lines.
app. Okay.
Okay.
So I mean, it's not only for mobile apps. Um, portfolio covers either mobile or websites. Just that most people always tend to work on mobile because that's where most people always tend to like find pain points, because on websites are like mostly easily navigated, or should I say they're not as complex as mobile applications, I would say. So it is very possible you have a case study on the website. Trust me. Like it is very, very possible you have a case study on the website. So if for example you jumped on Nigeria railway station websites and you are seeing some things that are not proper, it might be a single button. It can be a single button or just an input field that can be a pain point for people. Because trust me, on some websites, you hear when people tell you that after implementing a particular button on their website, they have more conversion rate on that website because a particular button is missing. Yeah, I'll start an example. I once had a friend that worked with bookings. I don't know if everyone knows bookings websites or bookings application for like booking hotels and all. So yeah, so the person is a designer, and the person told me that there was a time in the company that they had to do research on their websites why there has not been so much conversion rate, and it was after implementing just a single button on the home screen, on the hero section in particular, like changing a text. So that's just to show you how much user experience can go. It can go beyond just the visuals. So user experience goes as long as how a user is thinking, what their thought process can be like, and trying to psychologically understand what they are thinking and how to make life easy for them. So that's what user experience simply entails. So at times, let's say what the call to action on websites is just probably sign up and sign in. There is nothing like book a call, and that website is going to be serving for a marketing agency. And what most all marketing agency does is that they want to hear from you. So, and what you want to do as a person is not that you want to start signing up. The most easiest thing for you to do as someone that probably wants to market a project or a product, or someone that wants to consult a marketing agency, is to book a call with them. And when you get on the website, you are saying sign up and sign in. That can be a pain point, because let's say that marketing agency websites want users to now first sign up, create accounts before they can reach out to them. That can be a big pain point to that user. So it's they will now start to like convert more if they change that particular button to book a call with us. So that book a call with us will probably just take the user to, let's say, a Calendly website where they easily just book a meeting, and that's all. So users having to sign up first before they can book a call on that particular website can lead to drop down in their user retention, and users always getting to like lose interest at the end of the day, out of the whole process of them trying to reach out to your company. I don't know if you are getting me, Nessa. Yeah, so case studies are not only for mobile applications, they are as well for websites. I would definitely get a website case study and share with you guys before tomorrow. Definitely, like I will share it alongside with the ones I've promised to drop on the group for you guys. So is there any other person that has a question? Okay, Ed Young, you can go ahead.
Eddie is fine. Eddie is fine. All right. So my question is similar to Nessa's. Yeah. So I prefer websites. I'm more inclined to websites than mobile apps. So take, for example, you want to, let's say, redesign a landing page, like a similar example like you just gave, talking about changing of a CTA. So how do you test it? Because you want to build a case study on a particular landing page or something you did based on an existing company. So how do you put the user testing section for your case study? Thank you.
How do you put the user testing?
Yes, because you don't work for the company. You're just like, let me give you an example. Imagine Mr. Biggs had a website, and then you just noticed that the website wasn't looking really good. And you decide to like redo the landing page and all of that. You have your case study or your reasons for what you did. But then how do you now show the testing? Because you don't work for them, you don't know anyone there. So for your case study, how do you show like the impact of the change you made to the landing page, or if you redesign the whole website, how do you show that? That's what I mean by testing.
Okay, good.
The user testing we did here.
Okay, good. So here's what I would say. Firstly, let me go through the process of you jumping on their website and noticing that they have a very bad UI, or they have a UI that is not so speaking of their brand. Firstly, and you felt like this UI can be much more better. The first question is the main action that you want to perform on that particular website. Are you being able to perform it first of all? So there is difference between pain points, challenges, and there is difference between if you feel like revamping a UI of the website. So for you to be able to test something, it has to be something you are changing in terms of experience, which is like a pain point you are solving. So if there is no problem, there can be solution that you want to test. So let's say for example, on that website, it is not converting enough, or let's say you personally even encounter a problem. That's why we have user research. You have to hear from others. It might not be only you that is coming across that problem, or the problem might just be that probably it's just only you that is seeing it that way. That's why like we have something called like user research, is to hear from others. Because whatever product you are building, whatever solution you are solving, you are not solving for yourself. You are solving for users. So that's why like it's mostly important to like hear from others. That feature you want to that you feel is not properly done, or something that you feel is like a pain point, you have to make your research first. What is other like what are users facing in terms of this thing? First of all, and when you hear from them, then you now do your competitive analysis that okay, oh, on other food websites, on probably Sweet Sensation, on Chicken Republic websites, on Domino's websites, on KFC websites, on Chicken City website, or whatever food websites. Like, is it same problem that they have, or these people solved the problem? So there has to be a problem before you can say you want to test something. So if you are not being able to like identify that problem, that okay, truly this problem exists, that other users are facing that problem, and after your competitive analysis research, you notice that other websites too are something similar. Then after solving the problem, then you now make a prototype of the problem you solve. That's why like it's always important to like have a prototype that like walk with users through the process. Even if you're not being able to build that particular app or that particular website yourself, like have something like a prototype that can walk a layman through what probably ordering food can be like on the app, and gets to know what their feedback will be like. So it is that feedback that you get that gives you idea of what your testing result is. So always know that there is a difference between when a website is not looking beautiful enough, because you can come across some websites that are not beautiful, but they are converting like mad. To be very honest with you, you might think that this website is not beautiful, but the conversion rate that the website is giving the company high. That's why at times some big companies you might get to see their website and you'll be like, but this company is very big. They have billions of dollars. They have billions of people that have invested in them, but their website is like this. That is just to tell you that website is serving that particular purpose is meant to serve. Until you have been able to identify that there is a problem here, there's nothing you want to test. Do you get me?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think from what you've said, in cases whereby I don't have access to users, I probably would just compare the website with their competitors and then do like a business revamp kind of. So thank you.
Yes. So any other question, please? I would love to have so much question. Okay, I think in absence of none, I would love to tell you guys what the exercise for tonight would be like. So I'm pretty sure that everyone is well paired with a teammate or the other, and the exercise that have to be submitted before tomorrow class is that every team member is to select a problem for a space, a problem space for case study. So you can either look into different sector of fintech, might be transport, might be sporting, might be news, like any sector, and select a problem that they are going to be solving. Try to identify a problem they are going to be solving. So like that's a simple exercise. So it's basically for you to come up with a problem statement before tomorrow class from any of the space that we have around us. So might be food delivery apps that you want to look into, might be carrier service, might be transportation, might be sports, might be news websites, might be probably betting websites, betting applications. I mean, like there are drivers of sectors that we can look into and pick a problem statement from. So the exercise is just simply for you to select the problem, and on the Figma file, every team would create a section for themselves where they are going to be typing out what their problem statement is or what the problem they've identified is. So that's the simple assignment. It will be dropped on the group as well for us to easily access at the end of this class. So it's so nice having everyone here, and it has been an awesome moment, to be very honest. And kudos to everyone that has stayed back to listen, and kudos to everyone that has asked their question. I'm so proud of everyone for taking out their time to get this valuable knowledge and add something to what they've known, because I'm pretty sure, I mean, everyone here might not be a layman that does not really have an experience like that. So it's a boot camp to probably open everyone's mind to what they don't know, or even relearn the ones they've known before. So it's a very great thing. That I'm so proud of, that there are a lot of people here with great minds that have taken their time out to learn tonight, and I'm really proud of everybody. I'll see you guys tomorrow in the next class. It's bye for now. Good night. So you can leave the meeting once you're done.